afraid. I say I'm living on the fringe.
I am so glad because I get to introduce the next show. It is Bobby Joe Jackson, news from around the living room chair, starring our wonderful Miri Hunter. Miri wants everyone to know this is the third installment in the Bobby Joe Jackson series. After preaching about the vortex of evil and losing your soul to false promises, Bobby Joe Jackson is sheltering in place and gives a commencement place for the world from her living room chair. I'm pleased to introduce Miri Hunter.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to my home, my sheltering and home place. I'm Bobby Joe Jackson. Light me with a light, show me the way home. Light me with a light, show me the way to go home. I'm a singer, preacher, all around critical thinker. Now, this is my third time around with some of you, and well, I decided I need to make a third appearance this year. You see, in my first appearance, I spoke to you about the vortex of evil. Well, no, actually, what I spoke to you about was trying to avoid the vortex of evil, but I don't think many of you were listening. So I came back and I just decided that I would talk to you about the crossroads, and not just the crossroads, but losing your soul at the crossroads. But once again, I'm finding that no one actually did a lot of listening. So I'm back this time, this third time around, and I am just gonna give you my perspective of the world one more time. And this time I bet it will stick. That's what I want you to take away with you. Now, some of you may not know this, but a couple of months ago, LeBron James gave me a call. And he called me and said, hey, Bobby Joe, you know, I'm doing this big commencement thing for the class of 2020. They can't all get together. And I would be so honored if you would co-give the commencement address with Barack Obama. Well, I said, LeBron, I'm honored. I'm honored that you would even think to ask me. But you know what, LeBron, I am having such an interesting time sheltering in place. I said, I haven't even opened my computer screen for I don't know how long. And I think I'm going to have to pass. But just please give my regards to the Obamas, on and on. But you know what? I don't know. Maybe I made a little mistake and maybe I should have done that commencement address, but I'm going to give it a commencement address right now. And you know what? I'm going to start with this idea, this concept of what we've been calling sheltering in place. Yes, sheltering in place, or as I call it, SIP, SIP. Now, do you actually know what it means to sip? Because I'm looking around the world, I'm not so sure. But as I recall, sip means not guzzle. You know what I mean? It means sip. It means take what you need because there's plenty to go around. It just means sip. You know what I did? I checked in with Mother Gaia, you know, the earth. Yeah. And since we started the sipping thing, she said to me, you know what, Bobby Joe? I can breathe. It's like the air is clean. It's just, I can sit back, she said to me, and I can see my beauty and who I am. I said, I know, Mom. I know, Mother Gaia. I know. I've been doing the same thing. But you know what? Even though we can all take a lesson from that, I know that some of you haven't been sipping. Yeah, I know that's okay. Okay. I know some of you have been pipping, P-I-P, pondering in place, right? And some of you have even gone to the extent of whipping, W-I-P, worrying in place. But you know what? I'm not here to make a judgment. It's all okay because the whole world is doing this all at the same time. It's a phenomenon, the entire planet. Did you feel it? Did you feel the earthquakes? You know what that was? That was Gaia. That was Gaia. She was just tired of holding it in place, and she had an opportunity to just stop and take it all in. You know, we walk around all our lives just trying to hold things together, and it becomes tiresome. I mean, if you've been doing it for thousands of millions of years, like she's been, or even if you've been doing it for 10 years, or 20 years, or 50 years, just think about it. Just think about it. I know what you're saying. I know you're saying, Bobby Joe, I am tired. I am weary. And you know, I hear you. I understand. But brothers and sisters, I'm here to tell you that I'm troubled because we are at a crossroads. We are. See, I talked about the crossroads last year. I'm going to bring it back. Yeah. See, the crossroads. You know what they are? I'll just fill you in a little bit. The crossroads. You know, there's east and there's south, and then there's west and there's north. Or for some of us, it's air, fire, water, and earth. But the point is, you don't just pick one direction. When you're at the crossroads, you don't go all the way there or all the way there. You stand in the middle. Do you know what that's called? That's not called not making a choice. You know what that's called? That's called balance. That's right. And we're kind of out of balance right now, right? So we got to balance. Many people are just tired of making the same complaints over and over again. You know, people are tired of saying I'm human. I mean, I belong to this planet. I want to do simple things. I want to do hard things. I want to be seen, they're saying. Well, we were not born to suffer. Not as I understand it, no. So I hear that cry, and I hear that you're weary. And I know that sometimes we all feel a little bit broken. You know, we have this concept of sheltering in place or sheltering at home, but do you know what home is? Home is not a building where you put up walls and shutters. Home, it's not a place that you cower and hide. Home is your heart. Home is. You can't be shuttering up your heart and expect the world to be fine. Oh, you gotta let the light in your heart shine out. You know, my great-great-grandfather, well, I'm not sure how many greats it was, but anyway, my grandfather, James, Grandpa James, he was a preacher man too. And you know what he used to tell me? He used to tell me, Bobby Joe, you can't be a light. Cowering under that bed, hiding over there. You can't be a light unless you open your heart and let it shine. There's already enough darkness in this world. Let's make that crack and let's put that light in, he'd say. Then he used to tell me a story. He was a really, really good storyteller. I happen to have a story right here, so I'm gonna share it with you as part of this commencement address. The story is called The Circle Turns. And it's about Jim, and Annie, Mrs. Toller, and a little girl named Lucy. I'm gonna start her off with a song. Blind me with the light, show me the way home. Blind me with the light, show me the way to go. Bone tired, nowhere to go, trapped. Jim looked at Annie across the table. Annie shrugged. Bored. She was bored, apathetic to everything that was going on around her. Jim stood up. He grabbed Annie by the hand, and off they went, making it up as they went along like they always did. The rain had stopped. The roads were passable. The sun felt healing and not musty like the old cabin. In the car with the radio on, rolling down the road, stirring their once laden bodies. No one was out. Silence everywhere. What to do? And he waved. Hey, it was Mrs. Toller. Mrs. Toller, she waved back from her porch and she hollered, I thought we were quarantined. We sure were, Annie responded. But we need groceries. And a lot of gin, said Jim. As he drove, he casually slid his hand under Annie's dress and she let out a soft moan. And she reached to caress Jim's crotch. Things started like this, yeah, always. A little too riled up and then trouble. The spirit, that's how they called it. The spirit would just get into them. It was a sort of possession. A wild look and Jim stepped on the accelerator. Annie let out a loud whoop and off they went. Holy fire, they raced through town, out of town, into the fastnesses of the Mojave, feeling the call. 2 hours into nothingness, and they were there, and they were greeted. Food was cooking, a night ahead. Jim, Annie, and members of a long-forgotten desert sanctuary. Jim spoke to the men. Annie took off with the women. Memories, accidentally meeting here, always coming back to renew, belonging, gathering. The women told stories about their ambush and adventures and showed off their trophies. They bonded, the men, about the animal hunts, the changing weather, and the softness of their women. Together, they all dined. Then the drums came out. The dances began. Medicine, they called it, yeah. Crying, sobbing into the earth, seething of sorrow. Elation always followed. Elation always followed the purging. Then the coupling, the mingling of body and spirit. Suddenly, a light flash. Drumming stopped. Screams were heard. They were found. They looked up. Jim and Annie saw the horror around them, the sanctuary, their people slaughtered. They gathered their things. Should they fight back? The fire becoming cold in the desert night. They shivered. There were voices around them calling them out. We know you are here. How and why? Come out and we will stop the killing. Come out and we will take you and we will quietly free everyone else. They came out. More shots came. This was the source, they said. This was the reason for the town's affliction. Now it's gone, and you're standing trial for breaking quarantine. Back in town, they were, but they were not apart. Why did you do it, they said. Why did you put the whole town in danger? No danger, Annie and Jim. The danger was not because of the sanctuary. The sanctuary purged the danger. That was why the town still survived. The superstition was false. The sanctuary understood the land. Without the rituals, the town did not have long. The guardians would be gone, and so would the town. Silly fools, said Annie and Jim. You no longer have medicine, protection. They were booked. The Mojave heat rose, the winds blew. It dried up. The water supply, the food deliveries. No one and nothing could get through. One by one, the citizens died, and Jim and Annie died as traitors. A door closed, a window open. Watch the souls fly away. Can't go back. The lights ahead. Watch the souls fly away. Mrs. Toller laid in her bed. mumbling something about a lost cause. What was it? A bloodstain. No, a chain. A broken chain. Jim and Annie had broken quarantine. Broke the chain. No, not that. No. Not a chain. A broken blood chain. Why was there a quarantine? She couldn't remember, but she had to try. That place, she had known about that place in her youth. She had met him there. She got up to save the town, and in her heart, she knew someone must have survived. She would walk to the sanctuary, like in her childhood. Would he still be there? No one knew, no one saw, and once again, a broken quarantine. She packed water, covered her face, took a jacket, and the trinket. She wore it always around her neck. No one knew about it except Annie and Jim. She told them, but they had to be careful. Superstition was all around. And as she walked, she sang. Her voice calming the winds, the sun almost visible. It took days, but she found the remnants, bones, stray animals, and so she sat and she made an offering, lighting a fire and chanting, burning herbs and chanting. For 3 nights, she waited, chanting, as close to praying as she would ever get. Her calling. He had heard her calling, and on the 4th evening, he and several others arrived. We saw you. I know, but we hesitated. A trap. I want peace for my town, for my people, for all of us. We're dying. Our ways are destroyed. Your people, they are their own captors. It is done. Ignorance, fear, control, they are your new gods. Go in peace or stay. It matters not. You can be safe here. Admonished, she pulled a trinket from around her neck. She offered it to him. He looked at it, studied it, remembered it. How did you get this? He asked her. On a night with the drums and the dancing, we were together. The trinket. He took a piece of leather from around his neck, another trinket, his father's. You were safer here, she said. Your blood runs hot with desert desire. I left you, my heart torn. I left him, your heart, my heart torn. And I returned in the beginning, but the separation was always too hard. I was pulled in 2 directions, like you. Please help us. One fire, one night, just time. It was silent. They left her there with food, water, necessities. Days later, they returned with what she hoped would be a positive response. We have taught. His voice was familiar like his father's, but not quite. Without trust, he said. Your world is without trust. You live in decadence. You disrespect yourselves. There is no honor, only self-involvement. We cannot let this go on. Your destruction is your own doing. You, mother, you are welcome to stay. You're also free to go. You choose. Our home here will go on. We tend the earth. Mrs. Toller looked at her son. She removed the trinket from around her neck. She stood up, she turned her back on her son, and she walked away. The trinket, the connection, she looked at it. She tossed it away. She walked back to her home through through the wind, the sand, the darkness, each its own plague. It took her days. Her house still stood. She went in. She remembered Annie. She remembered Jim. And sometimes, if you're out and about, you could hear her voice. Unbroken, unbroken, my spirit was broken. Lucy played, always too far from home. She collected treasures and she hid them in secret places. It was late. The drums had started. Her parents were waiting for her. Only a few more years, she thought. Then she'd go. She'd dance at the fire. She'd meld with the drums and be a part of the cycle. Heart treasures on a night like this. She participated anyway, wearing her treasures. Parents gone, she would adorn herself with stones made into bracelets and bones gathered to form a crown. A trinket, shiny, like her mom's, broken, but beautiful. She applied it to the bracelet. They came home, they found her asleep on the porch. Adornments, her mother marveled at her child's artistry. She would have her apprenticed. The father turned angry. The trinket, the bracelet, the same as his wife's, his mother's. Life went on as he predicted for them, but in the end, it ended for the others, the ones that took and never gave. His mother, he remembered his arrogance, turning her away. His mother, all were dead years ago. The desert had reclaimed and taken herself back. The sanctuary continued, caretaking the desert and maintaining the rights. The trinket seemed to bring it all back to him. The destruction, had it been necessary? Pestilence, he heard it in his prayers. People were the pestilence. So he heeded the call, clear the land. That was it, wasn't it? He looked at his mate for reassurance, but he had doubts. Wasn't he part of the pestilence? His wife sought to soothe him throughout his feverish rant. He was quick, always jumping and then looking, unlike his father. He ran out into the early morning air. He ran to the secret chambers, and there he sat. There he wept. His mother's face came to him, pleading. She only wanted to live, but she died. He sliced his palms with a rock. Could he bleed her blood out of himself, then return to the sanctuary whole, unafflicted? The blood ran and he screamed, he cried, he wept. His hubris to deny his own mother. He didn't want to be part of her. He was sanctuary only, but she returns through his daughter, just a trinket, the largest evidence of his guilt. He wandered out of the sanctuary for days until he came to the remains. They were killed. Annie, Jim, his mother, somewhere in this town. He cried for them. Wailing came, and it echoed back to the sanctuary. His daughter heard. His family came to him. Fires were built, drumming and dancing occurred. She is still here, his wife spoke to him. Dances. He raised his head. He looked towards the fire. There, she dances. His mother. No, his wife said, your daughter. The mother lives through your daughter. She forgives. We start a new beginning, a welcoming sanctuary for all of her children. The circle turns. Fell down on my knees, sang my prayers, mother. Touched the ground, felt her power, regrets, Mother Earth. Sing this next part with me. I've sung it a lot. I think you know it. You ready? Here we go. Blind me with the light, show me the way home. Blind me with the light, show me, show me, show me the way to go home. Now, I want you to take notice of that story. You see, people were asked to sip, right? But it seemed that no one knew why. So they pipped and they whipped. Spent their time pondering who to blame or worrying about who to blame. But this young man, he didn't even want to connect with his mother. Shameful. But all around the planet nowadays, people are doing this other thing too. They're protesting, but they're doing something. They're taking a knee. It's a solemn protest of connecting your body to the earth. And it's happening all over. And as I sit in my living room chair, worried about the news, I simply think, where's this all going? I mean, it seems like in America, every 30 years or so, there's this movement, right? There's a movement for social justice, civil rights, humanity, everyone being equal every 30 years or so. That means that if you're 90, and some of my fans are 90 or more, this is your fourth time around. And my question to the class of 2020, whether you're graduating kindergarten, high school, college, or getting your doctorate, my question to you is, this time, can you make it stick? Can you just make it stick? Right? We have so many things to do as humanity that if you could make it stick, we wouldn't have to do this again. There's this place in San Bernardino County, California. Yeah, they the county council, the city, I don't know, but they passed something that said they were going to make racism a mental health issue. Well, that means you can get medical coverage for experiencing it. But here's my question. Who actually gets coverage? People suffering from the effects of decades of racist things being done to them, or people living with privilege, coming to the awareness that maybe they were racist? See, here we are. We're at that crossroads, right? And it's a lot. And I do not want to be the one to foster duality. Seems to me we all need help. So I'm expanding my business. I've decided that I'm going to start selling racism insurance. It's just call or text me. No big deal. And in the morning when I wake up and turn on my Facebook page, I don't want to see a lot of other people doing the same thing. This is my new business. You got that? Okay, good. Okay. So I'm expecting it to really take off. So I might have to give up a couple of things like preaching, hanging out with the Obamas, but it's worth it. My Grandpa James, he would just say, Bobby Joe, you see a need, you feel it. So as I sit back in my living room chair, continuing my sip way of life, here's my final message. My final message this year. Make it stick. I am Bobby Joe Jackson. I'll be back again. Show me the way to go home. And that was Bobby Joe Jackson, and I'm being Miri Hunter.
All right, yay, Miri! Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're absolutely welcome. You're so welcome. It's my pleasure.
So are you planning to do more installments in the Bobby Joe Jackson canon?
Oh, absolutely. She is just such a hoot.
All right.
She says really cool things. I can say things that, but she can say things, and she's kind of a hoot. And I think, her message is pretty good. So yeah, there'll be more. Yeah, actually, I'm doing a script that goes back to her great grandmother, Bobby Joe Jackson. So we'll look forward to that. Yeah.
Oh, great. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
You say I'm living on the fringe. I say I'm living on the fringe.